Your Honor, you
may
may
go
start.
first?
No, I will start.
You want to start?
Yes.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Set the pace. All right. What piece of advice would you like to give to 15-year-old self?
15-year-old self.
It's not too long ago.
I would... Shut up, man. I would say a 15-year-old self, I was very self-conscious of what my friends thought.
Yeah.
I was very much, I just wanted to be cool with my friends, and I gave up a couple of things I actually cared about at the time. I had like a small business that I was like buying and selling trainers. I used to have a YouTube channel for like skateboarding videos with my friends, and just both of them, just like out of embarrassment of what my friends thought, I stopped them. So yeah, just not caring what people think, I think would be the advice for the younger self.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's why you're so good at creating podcasts today. It comes from these days.
Yeah, started pretty early.
Okay, nice. Well, congrats, because you
And
were
you?
ahead of the... for me, I would say it's... sometimes you don't really realize how much the environment shapes you. And basically as you move abroad or like study new things or like just learn, like teach yourself stuff online, you actually realize there's so much out there that you can learn. And I think it's quite good. I don't know if it's like necessarily being online and learning new skills online, but trying out new experiments that may sound unfamiliar to your surrounding is probably the right path to explore, to actually learn more about yourself and find out whether things that people do around you are not necessarily like the only things that you can do. So I think it's good to expand that horizon a bit.
Yeah, solid advice for 15-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Okay. Why are you trying to start a startup? Deep.
I think it's the pace at which you can build, not asking for anyone's advice, or you can ask for people's advice, but at the end it's your call.
Yeah.
And not having to wait on anyone to give you permission feels very liberating, because traditionally in a company you are always asking for help, for budget, for permission, and if you can ever manage to give it a shot at like building something that you can have a full control over, I think is good. Not everyone has got that chance, because sometimes you do need some professional input. But I think that's one of the main reasons. Just playing around, building things is extremely fulfilling. And you?
Nice. Yeah, pretty much the same. I think the first one is I'm just a very terrible employee, to be honest. Like anytime I have a job, I'm just like, oh man, I hate people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I hate when there's already structure or rules or processes, all those kind of things. I want to work when I want to work. I don't want to work on selling other people's stuff. Yeah. Second, I think I also like the, I don't know what you call it, like the adventure side of things, like the going out on your own, trying to build something that is your own. I also have like a pretty high risk tolerance, I think. Yeah. So I kind of like the thrill and the risk of it, and hopefully at the end of the road, the bigger reward, the financial independence, freedom, all of those things that you could get to, I think, as an independent person. But yeah, and I just enjoy the challenge of it, honestly. I feel compared to especially jobs that I've had, I learn way much more being on your own, because when you work for companies and stuff, it's easy to, I don't know, if things don't work out or you don't achieve what you want, it's very easy to be like, oh, maybe like the company environment was bad, or I had a bad manager or a CEO, or the product wasn't very good, or X, Y, Z. When you're on your own, there's like no one else to blame but yourself. So it's like, hey, you're not making any money or sales or growth or whatever, literally your own fault. So I feel like the learning curve is much steeper. So all of the above.
You're not hiding behind anyone anymore.
I know, there's no one to hide behind, which I think is, especially for someone our age, I think it's like a great way to learn fast, learn skills, test your own resilience, determination, all those kind of things, which are good characteristics to build, I think.
Yeah. So what's the toxic trait that you kept from your jobs that you use today as an entrepreneur?
Toxic trait meaning?
something that, from your previous jobs that still that you still have around, as you are building your own thing? What would you like to unlearn from your previous experiences that maybe prevent you from being bold enough today, or finding reasons for your failures, or I don't know?
I mean, I don't know if it's like a toxic trait, but especially like the companies I've worked at before were like startups. For the first job, I was doing like 3 people's job at the same time, and they only paid me like €900 a month. So it was like, But basically, from all of these, I just ended up just becoming the guy who just like worked extremely long hours, and I realized it's like pros and cons. Like especially when you're self-employed, you have to do everything by yourself. But I also realized I just sometimes like the end of the month, I'll just realize like, I just like worked all these crazy hours, and it's just like this norm that I got into, like, I can just spend all of these hours. But it's like, did I actually use that time usefully, or am I just in this like normalized routine of like, that's the thing, you become less productive. And I speak to a lot of people and I'm like, you work this weekend? Like, that's like a weird thing to do. I'm like, I did, and it's like, did I actually need to work the weekend? No, but I've just kind of carried this kind of thing like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a founder, I should be working all hours. And it's like, true if you need to, but it's not necessarily a useful trait to have if you are not doing like productive, useful things at all times. The 4-hour work week is a bit of like this fantasy that is actually not achievable, obviously. But finding some sort of middle ground, I think, would be more useful for me. But and yourself?
I would say the same, like this kind of culture of being busy, not being necessarily like smart at like delegating. Sometimes you just have to value your time. I think
I can't
even if it's a price tag, even if we're fucking struggling and we are still in the early days, we're both roughly at the same stage. It's sometimes I would say it's probably important to learn how to delegate and just value your time, because I mean it's a long journey and you don't want to burn yourself too fast. It's gonna happen. Make sure you achieve something concrete before you get there. What are your favorite spots here in Lisbon?
Can I include beaches? Because actually my favorite places in Lisbon are for sure beaches. I am like such a simple person. I can just sit by the beach as long as the sun's shining. Ideally there's waves and you can go surfing. Oh baby, that is peak life, to be honest. Which is why I wanted to move to Lisbon, honestly, because it's like so ideal. Capital city, but then you just get on the train, go to Carcavelos, get a Bolt, go to Caparica, super easily. And those are my favorite spots, to be honest.
Nice.
I know I didn't really answer the question about restaurants or bars, but
well, restaurants. You tried to bring me to one restaurant once, and it was closed, so I wouldn't trust you.
I know. I hyped it up so much. It was like the best kebab place in the whole of Lisbon, and you were like, yes, let's go. And I was like, look, man, look at we were on the way. I was like, look at the reviews, man.
4.7,
500
I trust
reviews, and we went, it was closed, so. But look at Kebaberie, that is a good spot.
For me, I would say like also the beaches, but maybe just to answer the question, I really like Praça das Flores, which is near the Parliament, and it's very nice because it's just great for people watching. So you just go there, grab a glass of wine, some pizza, and you just sit on the bench.
Live life. Have a good time.
I wouldn't say you have people of all sorts, but it's a nice little microcosm, which is nice to look at.
Nice. What is something you have always wanted to learn or try?
That I've always wanted to learn or try? I would say acting.
Nice. Wow.
I don't know, like stand-up comedy is, not that I'm funny, but like it's always been like improvising on stage. I usually kind of freeze in public. And I think it's like, I used to live in Chicago like a couple of years ago, and there's a big scene about improv.
Wow.
And it was insane because literally they would it was crazy because every improv would last for 2 hours, and they would start by asking the audience to like just answer one question or like say one word, and they would improvise for 2 hours about this, and it would be super smart with tightly knit, you know, like there would be like a whole narrative that they would build off that. And I've always been intrigued by how you can actually structure, like just a comedy or like just improv. I find it, because at the end I'm not so sure how much there is of improv, because there's a lot of practice in the background, but it looks very natural and fluid, and I think that's super nice.
Yeah, I think comedy would be a good one. I listen to a lot of podcasts who have comedians on it. I think it's like a very cool, I don't know, like we talked about like being an entrepreneur and going your own risk and stuff. I think standing up on a stage and just having to, like you said, just like make things up as you go along. Yeah. I don't know if you met him. There was a guy came to our paddle game before, and he just seemed like this like pretty quiet, timid guy or something. And he was like, he just goes up at like Lisbon Comedy Club every Thursday, and he used to be like super bad at the start, but like now he like, I don't know, travels around Europe, does stand-up comedy. Yeah.
Is he playing tonight?
No. But no, it seems like a pretty cool thing to try, I think.
Yeah. And you?
What would I like to learn to try? Two things. One, language. I am somebody who only speaks one language, and I've always wanted to learn language, but then I've never been like, why would I want to learn like French or like German? That just seems like so random. Yeah. But now I'm in Portugal and I've signed up for a language school. So hopefully going to learn that. Try. I'd like to do some kind of like these, I don't know, like road trip camping kind of things as well. Eduardo, who used to work here, was telling me all about like this road trip you could do along Agento, I think is the name of the coast. Alentejo, that's the one. Yeah, close.
It's time for you to go. It's time for you to go down there.
Yeah. So those two things: learn Portuguese, be fluent, go on surf road trips. Cool. Just have a good time. That is the plan.
Nice.
Look at you.
Oh, that's a long one.
Oh.
Do you have any pet? And if not, what pet would you like to have? And if yes, why does Maggie love ID spaces?
Nice, that's a good one. No, I do not have a pet. Never had a pet, even as a child, because here's the thing. Me and my sister, we were adamant we wanted a dog, right? We were all the time, we went to our parents, we were like, oh, we want a dog. My mum used to have a dog. She used to have like a sketch of an old dog in our house. It was kind of weird, to be honest. Yeah. So we were like, yeah, we really want a dog. So they were like, okay, what we're going to do is start you off with progressively smaller animals, and if you can look after them, we'll work our way up to a dog. We started with sea monkeys. Nobody even knows what a sea monkey is. They're basically these like microscopic like algae in the sea that you're meant to like feed. You can't even see them that they exist. And they were like, okay, if you do the sea monkeys, you'll do the fish, we'll do the rabbit, we'll do the dog. Anyway, long story short, I'm not feeding like something I can't see. They died instantly, so we never got a dog.
It's hard to be reminded that you need to feed them.
I know. It was a crazy experiment, to be honest, when you think about it. So never had a pet. I would very much like to have a dog, I think. But I think now, to be very honest, I don't think I'm responsible enough. I think I still need to mature a bit more, settle down, hopefully have a family. And then maybe get a little Maggie.
It's like the ultimate level.
Yes.
You're ready to have kids, and then maybe you can get it
on the horizon somewhere. Yes, that is the end goal, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so Maggie, for full context, is my dog, and she's getting a lot of snacks every morning here. So yeah, she's very popular, and she helps me meet new people here. So she's great at creating and strengthening the ID community.
Yes, a good asset to the community. You could do too if you want.
Don't break any rules.
Wow, deep. Is it a lonely journey to start a startup? How do you make it less lonely? Deep.
So it is lonely, but I do think that, so right now we are both on our own, but we could potentially like do some freelance on the side, and like you can, like in many cases, I think in the early days you are busy doing other things on the side because things don't really take off, or sometimes you just go all in. But traditionally people kind of have other people that they get to see, so it probably makes it a little bit less lonely. Otherwise you can have a co-founder, and I would say that then you can also meet people here, go to events. You brought me last week to this indie hacker event, and you get to meet a lot of people, and even if you don't, you probably encounter many of the same challenges, even though you don't necessarily work for the same company or even in the same industry. But I think your problems are not so special in the end, and you can relate easily with people in the same dynamic.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Being a solo founder is a very lonely journey. I think it's two things, to be honest. I think being on your own, like the previous answer I gave, I think it's like a very good test of your willpower, determination, resilience, all those kind of things. Like, can you go on your own, especially when you're starting out, if you have like little traction, little validation to prove you actually have a good idea, how willing are you to kind of see it through, actually just work for weeks or months or even years sometimes without that much validation? Basically kind of tests your conviction, as an entrepreneur or with the idea that you have. But to your point, for sure, like the biggest thing, like anywhere I go, the first thing I will do is sign up to a co-working space, especially somewhere like IDEA Spaces, join, it's like great. Like you can just like come in, you can meet loads of people like yourself, like you mentioned, entrepreneurs, freelancers, remote workers, people are in the same place that you can learn from. There's a lot of meetups. But yeah, to make the journey less lonely as well, like as you kind of mentioned, I think finding a co-founder is a good thing. I speak to a lot of times when I meet co-founders, they sometimes, I'm not like envious, but I'm just like, oh, it seems cool, right? Like having somebody who's actually trying to build your idea together as well. Harder to do than it seems, I think. I've had like multiple people who either trialed being a co-founder or I potentially thought could be a co-founder, which kind of like never materialized. But no, to your point, I think the easiest hacks are join a co-working space, go to meetups, and ideally try and live or be somewhere like a Lisbon or a capital city where it attracts the right sort of people. Because if you live like I previously lived when I was back in the UK recently, in a, like a non-entrepreneurial city, it's hard. It's so much harder to do. It's so much harder to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually used to work in Amsterdam for a company, but remote, and I felt lonelier working for a company, but alone at home than being on my own on this journey, but being in in an office space. So, yeah, I second what I've said before. So.
We second the second. Nice, man.
Okay, cool. If you were to do an episode of a podcast together, what would be the main topic and why?
Good question. I mean, I think what we talked about there, I think like being solo entrepreneurs / 0 to 1 / starting small projects on your side, I think this would be a great thing to talk about. And actually, I think a lot of people, when they think about starting startups, are very much like, a lot of people I speak to are like very, sometimes like high level, like, oh, I want to build this like unicorn or the software platform or this, the new social media app or something. And actually already, I don't know, I feel like they fail at the first hurdle of they just have like this insurmountable vision. And it's like, okay, like how do you even, like what's actually the first step to starting a unicorn? That's like, is like so far away. And actually they get into the stage of they actually never start or they actually never make any progress to it. When actually I think what a lot of people should do, and the path that we kind of went down, and actually quite a few people I spoke down in Lisbon, is actually kind of building these where it seems like, okay, are you building a startup or like a side hustle or a side project, like starting like a self-guided Lisbon tour? When I first started Stack, like literally just like manually just matching one person who need mentoring with some mentor. It's like, at the time, it's like it seems like, okay, are you starting like a side hustle? Is it actually a startup or a project or something? But it's very easy to, I think like validate that you can make money online, which is like a pretty cool feeling the first time you get paid. But B, then it's easier, like once you have the first sale, it's like, okay, how do I make 2 sales? How do I make 5, 10, 25? Versus in like scenario B, which I mentioned, which was like, okay, you want to build a unicorn, it's like, or a social media app or something. It's like, that's like, it's very hard to know the logical next steps, but I think, and hopefully the position and the route that we down, it's like kind of easier to build momentum when you start on these small solopreneur, indie hacker type side hustle projects. So yeah, I think that would be the podcast that we should start.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I think what I quite like is when we share the wins also, and just every day. I mean, we also talk about when things go wrong, and this is usually 90%.
Most of the time. Yeah.
No, but like generally, I really like this kind of hype that we have when we talk about this first customer, this first payment, or I mean, this morning I was so happy for you when you told me that this guy found you on your podcast.
Yes.
You had 40 views, and out of 40 views, you got one guy who reached out saying that your content was super helpful. And it helps. I mean, I think it's very much of a win-win to hear other people's wins. So I think we should celebrate them more often because it uplifts everyone.
Nice. Honestly, this is a good podcast, man.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's run away with these cameras and start our own.
Yes, use the nice equipment. Yes.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? I think we already have the answer for the outfit.
True. One food? Probably ramen, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I absolutely love ramen. It is so good. It's pretty cheap. Consistently pretty great. There's so many good ramen spots in Lisbon as well. There's like 5 around my apartment, and they all do ramen for like €8 or €7 or something.
It's true.
It's so good. That would probably be the food, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it fits really well the archetype of the entrepreneur.
Yes, ramen profitable.
I would say for me, since I moved to Lisbon, I'm usually craving 3 to 4 times a week those chicken from like a good like churrascaria or like some chicken, with fries or something like that. So I would say this, since I'm in Lisbon. So I would say around the warming ending. I would stick to this.
Yeah. Actually, he went for chicken. Although I do eat chicken every day for lunch. I should have said chicken, to be honest. Yeah.